A state Supreme Court judge in Alabama refuses to listen to a Supreme Court ruling indicating that gay marriage is legal in the United States, and he continues to urge judges in the state to deny same-sex couples marriages. Now, this is a judge that you probably have already heard about, Alabama Chief Justice Roy Moore. And recently, he issued an administrative order statewide Wednesday on marriage licenses that stated, until further decision by the Alabama Supreme Court, the existing orders of the Alabama Supreme Court that Alabama probate judges have a ministerial duty not to issue any marriage license contrary to the Alabama Sanctity of Marriage Amendment or the Alabama Marriage Protection Act remain in full force and effect. So, in essence, what he's saying is, I don't care that the Supreme Court ruled that the ban on gay marriage is unconstitutional. Here in the great state of Alabama, we don't believe in same-sex marriage. Therefore, do not issue same-sex marriages.
I wonder how that's going to work out for him. I wish that he had taken a minute to Google the definition of supreme, because I don't think he understands the relationship between the Supreme Court at the federal level and courts at the local and state level, even the Supreme Courts of states. You don't get to say, we're just not going to apply it.
Whatever happened to judges being unbiased, being objective? But judges are supposed to be part of a system that enforces laws that are currently in place, right? Your state law means nothing when it comes to the Supreme Court and what they've ruled. They have ruled that same-sex marriage is allowed in this country. So you, as an Alabama Chief Justice, don't really matter. Right? Your political views, your social views don't matter when it comes to this issue. And so you're not supposed to be an activist. You're supposed to be a judge that enforces laws, that understands what the current laws are and makes rulings based on that. But he's not doing that. He's doing the exact opposite of that.
Well, this is the pattern that we always see, that so long as they can have a law at the federal level like DOMA or at a lot of those state levels, they'll say, well, we're simply enforcing the law. And as soon as the law is overturned, fuck the law. We're doing it anyway. So then you didn't really care anyway. It's some sort of personal vendetta. His family life is apparently fucked up in various ways, and so he's trying to take it out on the rest of the people in Alabama. But what's especially sad about this is that they had this period where the ridiculous conservative Christian tyranny existed across the country, and gay marriage was illegal around the country for a very long time. But like, we've so clearly moved past this, that these last, like, the limb is barely kicking as the person dies in this case. They're going to have a movie someday about the legalization of gay marriage, and Roy Moore might well be a very small character in it. But this isn't even going to be a scene in the movie. At the end, after the heroes are like triumphant and the music is all like encouraging, they're going to show a black and white picture of Roy Moore and say that he died penniless and drunk years later. That's the only inclusion he's going to have. This pathetic attempt to exert some sort of will, moral, or judicial over the country, nobody cares about this, and this is going to be overturned. And if it's not immediately, then Alabama is going to suffer the consequences, probably economically, because the federal government can enact various damaging counterattacks against Alabama.
This is the same judge who put up a Ten Commandments monument in Alabama's courthouse.
That was quaint by comparison.
So we live in a country that is supposed to be founded on the separation of church and state. But it's so ingrained in our politics, whether it has to do with our judges or our politicians running for the highest office in this country, right? How many non-Christians have been elected as president of the United States? I mean,
well, Barack Obama.
That we know of, right?
I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know you're kidding. But religion is so ingrained in everything that we do in this country, and it's supposed to be the opposite. We're not supposed to have activist judges. His own religious morality is not supposed to be forced upon us. And that's exactly what happens with judges like this. And it makes me sick to my stomach. He is not good at his job. He should not be employed as a Chief Justice in the state of Alabama.
It's amazing that back then they were able to erect this separation between church and government, because obviously they were very different people. We like to imagine that we've been steadily becoming less and less religious, and lately that has been the trend. But they were actively deists and non-believers and secular in orientation, and for whatever reason, economic problems, military problems, we had these rebirths of Christianity and evangelical religion in this country. And it's amazing that we're worse off in terms of our general philosophy in a lot of quarters of this country than we were hundreds of years ago.
Why is Roy Moore thinking about gay sex right now? That's what I want to know.
You think he's thinking about it right now?
Yes, I do think. I think
is.
he's thinking about it because he's probably wanting to do it himself, to keep it real. Here's the thing. I feel like people who are firm and comfortable in their sexuality don't worry about the sexuality of others. They just don't, right?
Yeah.
I have never, ever thought about gay sex, except for when we cover stories like this. I'm not interested in gay sex, but people who want to have gay sex, do you, boo? Like, that's your life.
Or do the other person of the same sex.
Whatever you want to do, right? But with this judge and with so many conservatives that we cover, when it comes to the gay rights issue, they just can't get past gay sex. They can't stop thinking about it.
It's amazing. I mean, I don't care if other people are having same sex. I don't care if other people. There's very few straight couples that I care about the sex they're having. One or two celebrity couples. Other than that, it's not even just that we like gay people, so we don't care what they're doing. Like the idea that you care so much about what other people do in the bedroom, I don't care. And it's amazing to me. Like Roy Moore, does he not have an Xbox? Get a fucking hobby.